Welcome to the World Sip. Today we're in Finland. We're here at Cairo Distillery in the north of the country.
They've taken Finland's obsession with rye to new levels.
So let's go check it out.
Before they finish it all,
After a warm welcome, we went inside to thaw out and meet the guys behind the rye.
Hi, I'm Mika Lipiainen. I'm one of the founders and the CEO of Cairo Distillery Company. How the company got started was that me and some friends were sitting in a sauna, sipping on some rye whiskey and thinking, hey, this is fantastic. Why isn't this being made in Finland at all? We love our rye, so let's start making rye whiskey. Unlike most of the ideas you get in a sauna, this was still good in the next morning. And from that, we started thinking, okay, let's do something else that also can put rye really to the test and combine some Finnish characteristics. And that's how gin came along. 2014, we got the machine started up in our fantastic old dairy in Iso-Kyrö, Finland. So this is an enterprise of 5 friends. I was previously in pharmaceuticals. Then our head distiller, Kalle, he grew algae for a living in a university project. I didn't want to even know. It's, sounded weird. And then we had Mikko, who worked for a local big ship engine building company. And we had Joni, who does our sales, and he did some global logistics on his own. And then we had Mikko, our only engineer. Of course, we put the engineer in charge of the brand for some reason. It's a bit of a mixed bunch, but we came together really nicely and everybody found their role.
Like the sauna, rye is an integral part of the Finnish identity.
due to its ability to thrive in cold and dark conditions, rye has been grown and consumed by the people of Finland for hundreds of years.
When used for the base spirit, rye adds a distinct, strong, spicy characteristic that underpins all of Cairo's products.
We started distillation here in Iso-Kyrö in 2014. During the first year we produced about 5,000 bottles, and in 2015 we won the International Wine and Spirits competition gin and tonic category with our Napue rye gin. That made us produce 100,000 bottles instead of 25,000, which was originally planned.
What it actually meant was that in Finland you can't promote hard alcohols. But as that was news, then the newspapers could write about it, and they did.
And boy, did they! That's what caught the World Sip's attention. Plus, we love that everything they do is shaped by their environment, right down to the smallest detail.
We wanted to have authenticity also when it came to the logotype, and we wanted to find it from Iso-Kyrö. Eventually we found it 150 meters from here, from the memorial stone of Battle of Napue.
The Battle of Napue gave them inspiration for both the font and the name of their gin.
But how did they come up with the flavour profile?
When we were evaluating Napue and what it should be like, we had the image of a Finnish summer evening and the moments when you step out from an outdoor sauna. There is a field, there's a lake, and mist is rising from a forest. And that is the taste that we were looking for.
With such a poetic description, we obviously had to do a tasting.
Okay guys, are you ready for tasting?
We definitely are.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Very good. Start with our gin. We've got the Napue here. It's a very oily gin. We distill it so that we leave it very thick and it has like a proper mouthfeel. You can really get the core tastes in.
Thank you very much.
So worth nosing.
Wow. Getting some real sweet notes coming off.
Yeah, it's we've got 4 really core tastes in there, one of which is meadow sweet. And it's the first one you'll get on your nose and on the very front of your palate, like a honeyed, grassy sweetness.
Cheers.
What's cheers in?
It's kippis. It's easy to remember from kippist.
There's a kippis.
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 The sweetness straight away.
Yeah. And then it sort of freshens up on the mid palate. You get the local birch leaves coming through.
Yeah, almost like menthol.
Yeah. Towards the back of the palate, the third one kicks in, which is sea buckthorn. It's like an Arctic coastal berry, vanilla-ish.
You get the sweetness and then a little bit of a bitter finish.
That's the final one, the cranberry, kicking in the very end. It's weird, it's again a very strong berry, but when you distill it, nothing, and back of the palate, bam.
Right there.
If you're gonna put the world's best berries and botanicals in, better have them taste all the way through.
Very tasty gin. Well, shall we move on to the rye whiskey?
Absolutely. So actually, it's still a rye whiskey in process because we live in the European Union, and where this would be in the US called a rye whiskey, we have to wait for 3 years until it's technically.
It's not quite there yet.
Not quite there yet, but we've got a lot of nice stuff going on already. Sure.
Even though it's in progress, it looks like a pretty mature whiskey.
We've had great active casks on it, so you get a lot of the color being imparted already despite its young age. And of course our climate is a bit different here compared to, well, most of the whiskey climates in the world. We go from minus 30 centigrade to plus 30 centigrade.
So I'm getting like the toffee caramel.
Yeah, it's almost like raisins or plum in it, because when you mature it for so long, well, not to get too nerdy, but the yeast starts running out of oxygen, starts generating different sort of flavors in the compound. Then you gently distill it a couple of times in our pot stills, and 100% malted rye, all from Finland. This is what you get.
I must admit, for rye whiskey I've had in the past, I've always been a bit nervous because it can be quite aggressive, but this is quite easy drinking.
Yeah.
This goes down.
And considering it's 2 years in, it's a beautiful product.
Developing nicely. It's the long game, but we're here. We're going to wait for it to really mature and start getting the good stuff out.
So, would you ever make a cocktail out of this, or?
Well, it's such a shame to make a cocktail out of such a sippable spirit that's so rare, but I must admit we've tried, and the Manhattan you can make out of that is just something crazy. I'd really recommend us having a bit of our Napua gin in a cocktail called Sainio with some local sea buckthorn.
Okay, should we do it? Let's do it.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
So Mikko tells us it's Finnish tradition to drink cocktails in the hot tub.
He also tells us it's tradition to roll around in the snow afterwards.
So let's give it a go.
Sure.
This is madness. Oh, you Christ.
As the night drew in and the hot tub cooled, we had one last drink back where it all started, the sauna.
So we'll see you next time on the World Sip.